Something is moving beneath the surface. Something is shifting where few are looking. A silent line is being drawn across the earth. There is a change in the air that cannot be measured by instruments or explained by headlines. It moves through hearts, through homes, through churches filled with songs and empty of fire. It does not announce itself with noise. It works in quiet rooms, in the hidden corners of the soul, in moments when no one is watching. Many walk their usual paths, unaware that a deeper work is unfolding within them. Yet those who are awake feel it, a pressure, a stirring, a separation that cannot be seen with natural eyes. Light is being sifted from shadow. Desire is being weighed against truth. What once looked the same is now growing different. The world continues in its rhythm of distractions and routines, but beneath it, another rhythm pulses. A rhythm of testing, a rhythm of revealing. Some are growing softer, more sensitive to the whisper of God. Others are becoming dull, wrapped in comfort, satisfied with appearances. Faces look the same, words sound the same, but the spirit beneath is changing. There are hearts burning quietly in secret places, and there are hearts cooling slowly beneath the warmth of religious habit. This is the invisible phenomenon of our time. Not a spectacle in the sky, but a refining in the depths. Not a public sign, but a private verdict forming within every soul. Silence has become a language, the silence of unanswered prayers, the silence of waiting, the silence that exposes what noise once hid. In this silence, motives are uncovered. In this stillness, true hunger is revealed. Some run from it, filling every moment with sound and motion. Others lean into it and discover that God is nearer than ever. The same fire that comforts one heart unsettles another. The same light that guides one path exposes another. This is not chaos. This is alignment. This is the quiet work of distinction. Nations tremble on the outside, but a deeper trembling is happening within the human spirit. The shaking is not first of economies or powers, but of loyalties and loves. What do you truly live for when no one applauds? What do you cling to when comfort is stripped away? What remains when all that is familiar is tested by silence and waiting? These questions are being answered now, not with words, but with lives. Some feel an unexplainable narrowing, as if paths once wide are becoming precise. Old distractions lose their flavor, old compromises lose their comfort. There is a holy discomfort growing in those who belong to God, a restlessness that does not lead to escape, but to consecration. At the same time, a deep sleep is settling over many who once claimed alertness. Their lamps still look intact from the outside, but the oil inside is thinning. The danger is not open rebellion. The danger is gentle drift. This separation is not violent. It is subtle. It is not forced. It is permitted. Each choice adds weight to one side or the other. Each secret decision, each hidden indulgence, each quiet act of obedience is being counted in a scale no human court can see. What looks like delay is actually precision. What feels like waiting is actually sorting. Heaven is not hurried, yet nothing is being overlooked. Many wonder why relationships change, why familiar voices fall silent, why old seasons suddenly close without explanation. They sense loss, yet cannot name its purpose. But the purpose is forming even now. God is not merely gathering a crowd. He is preparing a people. Not all who stand near will stand within. Not all who speak his name carry his nature. The line is not drawn by confession alone, but by surrender. This is not coincidence. It is not random. It is not merely the passing of time. It is the movement of prophecy through the unseen realm. A hidden test is underway, and it reaches every heart. The trial is quiet, but its outcome will be eternal. And what is now invisible will soon become unmistakably clear. The quiet tremor you felt at the end of the last moment was not imagination. It was the echo of a greater warning moving closer, like distant thunder before the storm breaks. The separation that began in silence now carries a voice. a voice that once walked dusty roads and spoke to crowded hillsides, yet still speaks into the secret places of the heart today. Jesus did not warn with fear alone, but with piercing mercy. He spoke of a time when many would believe they were safe simply because they stood near holy things. He painted pictures of doors closing quietly, of lamps still in hand but empty within, of servants busy with routine while the master stood at the threshold. His words were never meant to terrify the faithful, but to awaken the sleeping. He described a world that eats and drinks, plans and celebrates, unaware that its greatest moment is closer than it assumes. Not because the signs are hidden, but because the eyes have grown dull. He spoke of hearts that grow heavy from excess, not only of the body but of the soul. He warned of devotion that fades not through rebellion, but through neglect, a slow cooling, a gradual exchange of fire for familiarity. Many, he said, would say they knew him, yet their lives would reveal that intimacy had been replaced by distance. They would speak his name fluently, yet no longer tremble at his presence. They would say, "I am well," while their spirit quietly starved. Look now at our time. Buildings are full, yet altars are sparse. Songs are loud, yet repentance is rare. Comfort is preached more than the cross. Identity is celebrated more than surrender. Many claim peace while avoiding transformation. The warning of Jesus pierces directly into this contradiction. He does not measure attendance. He searches affection. He does not count words. He weighs obedience. He does not inspect the costume of faith, but the pulse of love beneath it. He once told of those who cried out in confidence, surprised that their familiarity was not the same as belonging. They had moved in acts and language, yet their hearts never fully yielded. It is possible, he showed, to stand near the work of God and still remain far from his heart. It is possible to be surrounded by light and still live by habit instead of hunger. These are not legends of the past. They are mirrors for the present. The greatest danger is not open denial. It is quiet presumption. It is the voice that says, "I am already fine," while the Spirit gently whispers, "Return." It is the false comfort that mistakes stability for salvation. It is the subtle pride that replaces daily dependence with religious routine. This is why the words of Jesus feel sharper now than ever. They confront not the obvious sinner alone, but the satisfied believer who forgets to stay watchful. His warnings were never detached from compassion. Every alert was an invitation. Every correction carried the heartbeat of rescue. He exposed not to shame, but to save. The tension in his voice was always the tension of love, trying to awaken what sleep is slowly claiming. Even now, his call moves through these same words, across time and into this very moment. This is the alert. It is not distant, it is not theoretical, it is unfolding now. What he foresaw is not waiting in the future alone. It breathes in the present. The trial is underway. The watching and the sleeping are no longer ideas. They are conditions of the heart being revealed in real time, and every soul is already answering the warning, one quiet decision at a time. There is a work that God does when the crowd grows quiet, when applause fades and only the sound of the heart remains. This work is not rejection, it is refinement. It feels like loss at first. Things slip away, relationships shift, familiar supports weaken. What once gave comfort no longer satisfies. The soul feels exposed, as if layers are being peeled back without permission. Many misinterpret this season as abandonment, but it is the hand of a careful refiner separating what cannot remain from what must endure. Pressure reveals what peace can hide. In ease, devotion can appear genuine. In testing, its true depth is shown. Some discover that their faith was built on routine rather than roots. Others realize that what they thought was strength was merely shelter. When God begins to refine, he touches the places we have hidden even from ourselves. He allows winds that shake what looked permanent. He allows heat that exposes what was only surface. And in that shaking, in that heat, A quiet truth is unveiled. What is real remains, and what is false quietly crumbles. This refining has always been his way. There was a man once told to build when the skies were still clear, called to obey while the world mocked, preserved not because of perfection, but because of persistent obedience. There was a family urged to leave a city of comfort while destruction waited behind them, saved not by speed alone, but by separation of heart. There was a people led through fire and wilderness so that what enslaved them might finally be burned away. These are not distant stories. They are living patterns of how God still works within the human soul. The refining is often lonely. Friends may not understand why you withdraw. Old environments may feel heavy. Conversations once easy become strained. The heart grows sensitive, sometimes even aching, as if it no longer fits where it once belonged. This pain is not punishment, it is preparation. The vine is being pruned so it can bear a purer fruit. The gold is being heated so its true brightness can finally appear. The silence some feel is not abandonment. It is the sacred quiet where transformation takes place. There is a wind that unsettles, not to destroy, but to uproot what cannot grow in the season ahead. There is a fire that warms and burns at the same time. There is a stillness that feels empty until you realize it is filled with God. In this process, the heart learns to listen more than to speak. The soul learns to hunger rather than to be entertained. The spirit learns endurance in the dark, where faith is no longer supported by sight. If you feel isolated, misunderstood, quietly stripped of what once defined you, this may not be the enemy attacking, it may be the Father preparing. If your prayers feel different, deeper, heavier, if your joy is now mixed with reverent trembling, you may be standing in holy refinement. God is not pushing you away. He is drawing you closer through places where only trust can survive. Those who endure this season emerge changed. Their faith is quieter but stronger. Their obedience is simpler but deeper. Their love is no longer fueled by emotion alone, but by conviction forged in pressure. This is the making of those who will stand when comfort fails and illusion collapses. This is the quiet shaping of the faithful. Do not resist the fire that purifies. Do not flee the wind that clears. Do not fear the silence that teaches you to hear. The test is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal who you truly are in God. And those who remain through refinement will recognize the next season when it arrives, not with surprise, but with readiness. There is an enemy who rarely comes with obvious darkness. He comes wrapped in softness, speaking in gentle tones, offering rest without surrender, and peace without truth. His most effective weapon is not fear, but comfort, not persecution, but distraction. He does not need to push many into open rebellion if he can lull them into quiet sleep. And so, a song is sung over the soul, a subtle lullaby that quiets urgency, that makes night feel like safety and delay feel like abundance. This deception often sounds spiritual. It borrows the language of faith while removing its power. It speaks of blessing without brokenness, promise without perseverance, mercy without repentance. It tells the heart, you have done enough, when heaven is still calling for more. It reassures the soul that preparation is unnecessary, that tomorrow will always be available, that vigilance can wait. And slowly, without resistance, the oil runs low, while the lamp still shines faintly. There was once a city that believed itself rich, while it was quietly becoming poor within. It was clothed in confidence, yet naked in spirit. It felt warm, while it was growing cold. It had no sense of danger because comfort had numbed its discernment. This pattern still repeats. Many feel secure not because they are watchful, but because they are settled. They evaluate their state by stability rather than by obedience. They mistake calmness for readiness. There were once young women who all carried lamps and all waited for the same arrival. From a distance they looked identical. All had light, all had expectation, but only some had prepared for delay. Only some had accounted for the long night. When the moment came, it was not the form of the lamp that mattered, but the content within it. The tragedy was not ignorance. The tragedy was assumption. They assumed what had once been enough would always be enough. And that assumption cost them the door. There was also a woman who left behind a city destined for ruin. She walked between deliverance and destruction, with the future before her and the past behind. Yet her heart lagged where her feet had moved on. She looked back not out of logic, but out of longing. The pull of what once satisfied proved stronger than the promise of what lay ahead. Her story is a warning written in stillness. It is possible to obey outwardly while remaining bound inwardly. The enemy's strategy is to make what is deadly feel familiar and what is urgent feel distant. He teaches the soul to delay repentance, to postpone depth, to replace hunger with habit. Under his influence, people still pray but no longer tremble. They still sing but no longer surrender. They still believe but no longer watch. The greatest danger is not the loss of knowledge. It is the loss of sensitivity. False readiness is deceptive because it feels peaceful. There is no alarm, no inner cry, only a smooth confidence that says all is well when vigilance has already faded. The soul grows drowsy not from darkness alone, but from the comfortable glow of religion without fire. And the longer one sleeps, the quieter the warnings become. This is why discernment now matters more than noise. The heart must be examined, not the label. The posture must be tested, not the confession alone. Each soul must ask not only what it believes, but what it loves most. For whatever holds the deepest affection will determine where one stands when the final moment arrives. The lullaby is soft. The night feels long. The delay feels safe. But the call is closer than most imagine. Do not measure your state by how calm you feel. Measure it by how awake you remain. Do not assume the door will always wait. Stay alert while others drift. Stay burning while others dim. The hour approaches quietly, and the cost of sleep is greater than the world realizes. Wake up now, while the voice still warns, while the oil can still be renewed, while the night has not yet given way to the sudden sound of arrival. This is the hour to turn vigilance into daily breath, not as a rigid ritual, but as a living relationship. Oil is not stored in a moment of panic. It is gathered in quiet places over time. It grows in whispered prayers when no one sees, in decisions that choose obedience when compromise would be easier, in moments of silence where the soul listens more than it speaks. The flame is sustained not by public appearance, but by private devotion. What keeps the heart awake is not intensity alone, but consistency born from love. True watchfulness is simple yet demanding. It is learning to return quickly when the heart drifts. It is keeping short accounts with God, allowing repentance to be a door always open, never delayed. It is choosing stillness when noise would entertain, choosing truth when comfort would distract. It is feeding the spirit with the word, not as information, but as daily bread, received slowly, chewed with reverence, allowed to shape desire and direction from within. This is not a checklist. It is a posture of hunger that does not want to live on yesterday's fire. Religiosity builds routines. Relationship builds dependence. One performs, the other abides. One can look active while remaining distant. The other may look quiet while burning deeply. Many confuse movement with intimacy. But God is drawn not by activity alone, but by humility that knows its need. The flame stays alive where the heart remains soft, where pride is quickly surrendered, where the soul stays teachable even after years of walking with Him. Consider the man who once lived on momentum. Everything in his life was filled with motion, noise, recognition. He spoke well, served often, carried a respectable image. Yet alone at night he felt empty, restless, confused by a dryness he could not explain. One evening, exhausted by his own strength, he chose to stop performing and began to simply sit in God's presence with nothing to offer but fatigue and honesty. In that quiet surrender, the fire returned slowly, not as excitement, but as peace that remained. Consider the woman who had grown careful with her faith. Once wholehearted, she had been wounded, disappointed, tired of hoping. Her prayers became shorter, safer, yet one day, in a moment of unexpected sorrow, she cried out with no filter, no formality, only truth. In that raw prayer, something old awakened again. The flame did not explode. It rekindled gently, like an ember touched by breath. Consider the young believer who felt isolated among those who once felt familiar. He sensed that his path was narrowing, that certain voices were losing influence. Though confused, he chose obedience over belonging. Over time, clarity replaced loneliness. The cost was real, so was the peace that followed. Refinement became purpose. This is how the heart stays supplied, not by striving, but by surrender, not by fear, but by love that refuses to grow dull. Vigilance is not anxious waiting, it is steady devotion. Prayer becomes conversation, repentance becomes a returning home, silence becomes a place of hearing. The fire of God is gentle toward the humble, fierce against complacency, faithful to those who seek him with an undivided heart. And this is why the separation itself is mercy. God does not expose to destroy, he reveals to rescue. He allows discomfort to awaken hunger. He permits loss to clear vision. What feels like narrowing is actually alignment. What feels like pruning is preparation for greater fruit. He is not preparing people merely to escape danger, but to stand in holiness and love when the final hour comes. The call is not to panic. The call is to return. Return to first love. Return to daily dependence. Return to reverent fear that does not drive away peace, but deepens it. The night is not reason to sleep. It is the very reason to keep the lamp trimmed and the heart awake. And now, the final horizon begins to draw near. This is not punishment. It is mercy. What is happening in secret is not abandonment. It is rescue. The narrowing of the road is not cruelty, it is protection. God is not closing in to crush, he is drawing near to carry. The test hidden from the noise of the world is the tenderness of a father refusing to leave his children asleep in the dark. The time is short, the signs are quiet, the work is deep, the call is gentle, yet unwavering. The night grows heavy, but the promise is brighter than the shadow. The delay has a purpose. The waiting has a reason. The silence has a voice for those who still listen. The bridegroom is not rushing, yet he is not late. He is precise in love and perfect in timing. Many expected thunder. Instead, there is a whisper. Many expected spectacle. Instead, there is a refining fire that burns without smoke. This is the mercy of God preparing hearts before the door is heard. This is grace, giving one more invitation to return, to awaken, to realign affection and obedience before the moment becomes irreversible. It will not be those with the loudest declarations who stand firm. It will be those whose devotion was shaped in quiet places. It will not be those who shined publicly but slept privately. It will be those who kept their oil hidden and their hearts tender. Those who learned to tremble again. Those who chose faithfulness over familiarity, surrender over security, waiting over wandering. The time is short, the signs are clear, the voice still calls. Stay awake, stay humble, stay near. Keep the flame trimmed, keep the heart soft, keep the ears open. Do not trade urgency for comfort, do not trade holiness for habit, do not trade tomorrow for today's excuse. The night is deep, but the promise is closer than ever. The test is hidden, but the reward will be unmistakable. The separation feels quiet now, but the outcome will be eternal. What is being formed in secret will soon stand in the open light of God's fulfillment. The time is short, the signs are clear, the call is still sounding. Stay awake, stay pure, stay ready.